Welcome back to the Black Fireman. Before we dive in, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this episode. And don't forget to check out our other videos for more stories about the fire service, leadership, and the history that shaped our profession. Today, we're taking a look at the incredible journey of the fire truck, from bucket brigades and hand pumps to the high-tech firefighting machines we use today. It's a story of innovation, courage, and progress. From the moment humans gathered in small villages, fire has always been both a tool and a threat. When homes were built close together using wood and straw, a single spark could destroy entire communities. Famous disasters like the burning of Rome, the Great Fire of London, and the Great Chicago Fire remind us just how devastating uncontrolled flames could be. In those early days, firefighting was all about starving the fire of fuel. People tore down nearby structures, soaked blankets, and passed buckets of water hand to hand in what became known as the bucket brigade. In ancient Rome, firefighting began as a private business. One of the richest men in Roman history, Marcus Crassus, actually had his own brigade of 500 men. When a building caught fire, legend says he'd negotiate with the owner to buy the property while it burned, and his men wouldn't act until a deal was made. If the owner refused, the fire was left to rage on. Eventually, Rome formed an organized fire corps, thousands of enslaved men equipped with buckets and axes. Emperor Nero even passed early city codes requiring certain street widths, open spaces, and limits on building height to reduce the spread of fire. The ancient Greeks were also ahead of their time. Around the 3rd century BC, they invented a double force pump capable of pushing a steady stream of water onto flames. Some early designs even used oxhide bags filled with water, stomped on to shoot water outward. Still, it wasn't until the 1500s that wheel-mounted hand pumps appeared, capable of holding a small barrel of water. But most firefighting continued to rely on bucket brigades, with neighbors forming human chains to refill the pumps. After the Great Fire of London in 1666, which burned for 4 days straight, a man named Nicholas Barbon started the first fire insurance company. He created his own private brigade and only insured buildings with special plaques marking them as covered. Across the Atlantic, Benjamin Franklin helped found the first volunteer fire department in Philadelphia in 1736, called the Union Fire Company. Every member had to keep water buckets ready on their doorstep, and even household businesses had rules. Bakers needed 3 buckets, brewers 6. Firefighters of the time also carried sacks to rescue valuables and bed keys to take apart bed frames, often the most valuable furniture in a home. By the late 1600s, inventors like John Lofting in the Netherlands were designing hand-pumped fire engines mounted on wheels. In the 1700s, Richard Newsham introduced improvements that used pistons to create a smoother water flow. In 1822, Philadelphia engineers developed the hydraulion, the first true suction engine, meaning it could draw water directly from a pond or river. That innovation eliminated the need for massive bucket brigades and marked a turning point in firefighting. At this point, though, fire protection in the U.S. was still private. Insurance companies paid competing fire brigades to be the first on the scene, and fights between companies were common. The first horse-drawn steam pumper appeared in England in 1829, but it took decades before they became standard. In America, the Amoskeag Locomotive Works in New Hampshire began building steam-powered fire engines in the mid-1800s. During the Great Fire of Boston in 1872, the city's firefighting efforts were severely weakened because an outbreak of horseflu sidelined the very animals needed to pull the heavy steam pumpers. Smaller towns, however, still used hand-pumped engines, requiring teams of firefighters to push and operate them manually. By the turn of the 20th century, innovation caught fire. The first motorized fire engine was built in 1906 by the Knox Automobile Company. It carried ladders, lanterns, sirens, and brave firefighters who clung to running boards as it sped toward the scene. Soon after, companies like American LaFrance entered the scene, first selling hand-powered pumps in the 1800s, then steam engines, and finally their first motorized fire apparatus in 1907. By 1910, the fire engine had fully evolved into a machine where one motor powered both movement and pumping. Firefighting was never the same again. As cities grew taller, firefighters needed better reach. The late 1800s saw the creation of extendable ladders mounted on turntables, allowing them to swivel and climb higher than ever. After World War II, these ladders were joined by aerial platforms, or cherry pickers, which gave firefighters better access to upper floors. By the mid-20th century, many fire departments were customizing their rigs on chassis from Ford, GMC, and Freightliner. In 1947, American LaFrance introduced the 700 series, a game-changing design that set the standard for the modern fire truck layout we recognize today. By the 1970s, diesel engines became the new normal, offering more power, reliability, and water pumping capacity. Fire trucks continued to evolve, from massive aerials to compact rescue units, hazmat rigs, and brush trucks designed for wildland fires. At their peak in the early 2000s, American LaFrance was one of the biggest names in fire apparatus manufacturing. But even legends can fade. By 2014, the company had closed its doors. One lesser-known piece of history: the first leather fire hoses appeared in 1673, sewn together in 50-foot lengths, a standard that still exists today. In 1821, the first rubber-lined hose was introduced, paving the way for today's lightweight polyester and nylon designs. And have you ever wondered why a fire hydrant is sometimes called a fire plug? Back when city water lines were made of wood, firefighters had to cut into them to access water. After they were done, they'd plug the hole with a wooden stopper, hence the name. From wooden buckets and hand pumps to fully electric apparatus, the evolution of firefighting technology tells a powerful story, one of dedication, teamwork, and progress. Today, companies like Pierce, Rosenbauer, E1, and Ferrara continue to build some of the most advanced emergency vehicles in the world, carrying not only water and ladders, but tools for rescue, medical care, and hazard response. No matter how advanced the truck, one thing remains constant: the courage of the men and women behind the wheel. Thanks for listening to the Black Fireman. If you enjoyed this journey through the history of the fire truck, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode, and check out our other videos for more powerful stories from the fire service. Until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and keep the passion for the job burning strong.